I never present with my family, boyfriends before, relationships before, and this is a big.
Auntie here, she just completely shuts down. She's not even looking at us.
Me quedo yo impactado. Yo siento que esto no es normal, sobre todo mi religión.
So the moment has finally come and Annie's aunt's face says it all. But before we get to that, let's rewind to the start. So the last we saw the three of them, we just found out that Annie hadn't been honest about her name because she'd been in an abusive marriage. In fact, she said she had to file a restraining order against her ex-husband, and unlike what Ray told them, he is in fact her ex-husband. They are officially divorced. So with everything now being forgiven, with all being hunky-dory between the throuple, the next hurdle they face is to meet Annie's religious Mexican family. Remember, they have no clue that Annie is in a throuple.
I never present with my family, boyfriends before, relationships before, and this is a big.
Oh boy, this has the potential to backfire spectacularly. Now, keep in mind that Annie's aunt is one of the most important people in her life. Her aunt was the one that raised her after Annie sadly lost both of her parents when she was a child. So it's understandable that she's nervous, very nervous, about what she's now going to have to tell her.
My aunt is very important for me because she takes care of me when I am children. Era muy joven, I am really poor, but it's great life because my aunt gave me lo que podía.
It's only natural that Annie doesn't want to let down the woman that sacrificed everything in order to raise her. But the truth is, coming home with both Matt and Amani is gonna come as a shock. It's gonna be disappointing by most religious people's standards. By most standards, I'd suggest. I mean, it's not exactly conventional, is it? Most parents or guardians don't hope and pray that one day their little girl is gonna come home with the man and woman that they want to marry at the same time. So, with the meeting now just hours away, Amani wants to discuss their playbook. What's our plan of attack here?
What's the plan? I was like, I want to give you time, but there's no time anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, we're here.
I don't have any plan.
Plans, no plan, great. First, such a planner, I'm like stressing.
Amani is a type A personality. She's a planner with massive control issues, and it's not lost on me that she's chosen to be with two people in Matt and Annie who are the polar opposites of her. They're way more go with the flow than Amani will ever be. Now, maybe Amani's attracted to people like that because she knows that she'll be able to control them easier. I mean, take for example this issue. Amani shouldn't have any say, any power over issues relating to Annie's family, right? But that doesn't mean that she doesn't try anyway. In fact, this sounds an awful lot like a threat, doesn't it?
I don't want to be there like, okay, is it happening now? Is it happening now? Or even worse, step in and do it for you, which is not my place to do that.
Give me time, okay?
The way that she's acting here is pretty despicable, isn't it? I can't believe that she's basically saying, if you don't tell them, I will. Like, that's hardly the way that you treat people you apparently love. Amani, of all people, should have a little bit more empathy and understanding for how difficult this is for Annie. Let's not forget, Amani comes from Tunisia, a country that's 99% Muslim. Now, while she might not be religious, and in fact, while she might not have a good relationship with her parents, which is what she hinted at in the first episode, at the same time, surely she can understand, surely she can appreciate how difficult this must be for Annie.
Normal para mi familia, pero si en algún momento mi tía no los acepta, no sé si yo pudiera continuar, ¿sabes? No tengo idea, no sé.
Now, Annie's family is religious, but Annie tells us they're progressive enough that they might have been okay if it was just Amani that she was bringing home. The fact that it's not, the fact that there's also Matt in the equation is going to be practically unheard of in Mexico. But despite that, Amani still heaps on the pressure. She's desperate to try and control the situation, even though she fully understands what's at stake here.
I'm scared because if her aunt doesn't approve of the relationship, I'm worried that's a deal breaker for Annie.
And that is exactly the same fear that Annie has. If my aunt doesn't approve, she says, then I think I won't want to continue to be with Matt and Amani anymore. So with this meeting set to be make or break, time has officially run out. You see, the next time we join the three of them later on that evening, they're on their way to Annie's aunt's house, and it seems as though Annie hasn't given them any clue whatsoever about what to expect. They're still under the impression that Matt is her boyfriend and Amani is just a friend.
Me da mucho gusto, Brenda, y pues viene con su novio que me va a presentar, que me dice que me va a presentar, y una amiga de ella.
Annie's aunt, her brother and her sister-in-law are all in attendance, and they all seem over the moon that she's found love with Matt. But it's obvious that this facade can't continue for much longer. So after a little bit of awkward small talk, Annie finally plucks up the courage to admit the truth.
Él es mi novio.
Ella es tu amiga.
Ella es mi novio también, tía.
It's literally crickets in the living room as Annie continues to talk. Like, the more that she talks, the more the stunned silence continues. I'm into women as well as men, and oh, these two? Yeah, they're already married, aunt, she says. Can you imagine, like, what must be going through her aunt's mind right now? She just sits there in complete silence, and that silence begins to freak Amani out.
Quiero tener una relación con él y con ella.
She seems angry.
Quisiéramos casar.
Notice how Amani blurts out she seems angry. Yeah, no shit, she seems angry. She's completely flabbergasted. She's been caught off guard. Like, the only way that this might get worse, in fact, the point at which she might have a heart attack, is when Annie will have to explain. I mean, how will she even go about explaining that, yeah, these two, they need to get a divorce so that one of them can marry me? Like, this is bad. It's gonna get really bad, especially considering already all of Annie's family can't believe what they've just learned.
Auntie here, she just completely shuts down. She's not even looking at us.
Me quedé yo impactado.
Now, Annie's aunt doesn't say anything, right? She seems to be biting her lip so that she doesn't say anything she might regret. All she can muster is, I'm shocked, and it's obvious that she's also concerned. What the heck have you got yourself into, she must be thinking. What does a future with these two even look like? And it's at this point that Annie then reveals their grand master plan about how they're essentially going to commit fraud so that they can get her into the country on a K1 marriage visa.
Pues ellos están casados y ellos se tienen que divorciar para que yo me case.
No es en ninguna religión es que se pueden casar. ¿Tú has pensado en eso?
Now, while Annie's aunt's face may be like, what the f***? At the same time, you've also got to remember that Annie does work as a stripper for a living, right? So you've got to question, how conservative really are her family? If they can learn to accept that, if they haven't disowned her yet over that, perhaps they might also learn to accept this. And as it turns out, Annie's brother does have her back, even if he can't fully comprehend what's going on.
Yo soy abierto. Si es contigo, no tengo objeción.
Muchas gracias, hermano.
But despite her brother's support, they still need to win over her aunt, and this is where Amani steps in. Yeah, control issues, remember? She starts dictating to Annie what to say. She says, tell your aunt that me and Matt have been together for 10 years. We wouldn't be divorcing if this wasn't real. But the problem is, Annie's poor aunt is still having trouble grasping how the fuck this relationship even works.
Lo que no acabo de entender yo, cómo es de que los dos son novios. Yo siento que esto no es normal, sobre todo mi religión.
Amani jumps in again and tells Annie to tell her aunt they're doing this so that she can have a better life. And that, I've got to say, doesn't particularly sit well with me. It gives off weird saviour vibes, doesn't it? Like, there's just something about this that feels so wrong. Someone needs to tell this woman she's not Madonna. This isn't an adoption. You're not adopting a foreign child from another country in order to look like a saint.
Tell her you're not alone anymore. Tell her for a long, long time it was Brenda against the world, but now it's the three of us against the world.
Amani really seems to think she's come into Annie's life to save her. Before this trip, right, she thought that she was saving Annie from a life of being a stripper and from being a single mum. But now, after finding out that Annie was in an abusive marriage, that seems to have fed Amani's saviour complex even more. Now she thinks she has to be her protector as well. I mean, even Annie, look at her, she's kind of borderline rolling her eyes for a second here.
Oh.
But, remarkably, and I've got no idea whether this is as a result of Amani's spiel or whether Annie's aunt has just had enough, she now suddenly seems to have a change of heart.
Es difícil para mí aceptarlo así, pero ¿sabes qué? Me da mucho gusto. Veo en tu mirada que también la quieres mucho.
Honestly, I can't really believe how easily Annie's aunt and brother have accepted this insanity. I guess, ultimately, the deal is they know that Annie is a grown-ass lady. They can't stop her if this really is what she wants. But it does also remind us just how atypical this family really is. I think Annie has got off lightly here. There's a lot of Mexican religious families that wouldn't be this understanding. But, keen to seize on this opportunity, Annie does have one more request of her aunt. You see, she wants her aunt's formal blessing. Culturally, that's apparently very important, and given what her aunt has just said, it shouldn't come as a surprise that her aunt gives it.
Sí lo haría.
Aw, thank you.
I feel so happy because this is big deal for my aunt get me blessing.
And with that, with the blessings now received, this has turned out to be everything that Amani wanted. She's no longer a secret, she's now met Annie's family, she knows about her past, and now she's convinced, she's 100% sure that she's ready to take the next step with Annie. What is that next step, you may be wondering? Oh, you know, the norm. Just casually divorcing your husband of 10 years, right? Explaining it to your own kids, and then marrying the woman whose name you've only just learned and bringing her and her kids over to the States. I mean, call me a skeptic, but I'm not buying this as quickly as Annie's aunt and brother did.